Hi there, I'm Sophia Hernandez, and today we are speaking to a woman who has really stayed true to her roots. And in the process, she's educated others, brought fashion to the forefront, and has reminded us all the importance of never forgetting where we came from. Today in the spotlight is Martha Valdes.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and you?
Hi, Aki.
So, for those who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing, where you're currently at?
My name is Martha Valdes. I own a business named Martha of Miami. Um, just by that, I think that you can imagine that I'm from Miami. Um, and I have a business where I've really tried to capture what it's like to be a Cuban American or, just living in Miami. Something that you're proud to wear and have fun with it. But more importantly, I'm focused on the Latin background, the Hispanic background, or for me personally, being Cuban.
And I know too, years ago when this first came out, this idea really took Miami by storm. Everyone was like, oh my God, why did nobody think of this sooner? Not only adorable clothing and adorable messages, but again, being proud of where you came from. Where did this idea stem from to be able to start your business and to be able to start Martha of Miami?
So it actually all happened by mistake. I always enjoyed like illustrations and just being creative. And I was creating something for one of my friends, a pineapple thing, like a pineapple pattern leggings, whatever. She was super obsessed with it at the moment. And as I was looking through Etsy, I thought this is something I could do. I could create cute little posters and things that people can print out and stuff. And all I would see was like, oh, but like cafecito stuff and coffee. I'm like, oh, we don't call it coffee, we call it cafecito. And I was like, maybe I should start making things like that. So when I told my dad I was going to start a little business, he was super supportive. He thought I was crazy because how was I going to start a business when my dad has literally established basically my future. But he was they were all super supportive. My mom, my dad, my sisters. And it just started from there. I opened up a business, I opened up an Instagram, I opened up a website, I opened up a bank account. Like I wanted to do it properly, everything by the book, not just an Etsy shop where I feel like, you test it out. No, I was like, I'm gonna do it the right way. And then I think a little bit of my business was starting to gain traction, but it really wasn't until I came out with Cuban bread, which was about, I would say maybe 2 years in or a year and a half into when I started my business in 2015, that shirt was the one that really blew up. That was one that put my business on the spot. People think that that's the first shirt I did, and it's not. Maybe like the fourth or fifth or sixth shirt that I did. And people really loved the message. Like, it's Cuban bread, not bread as in the food, but bread as in where you came from, your heritage, where you've come from. So I really think that that's what, and apart from it, it looks like the packaging of the Cuban bread here in Miami, or throughout wherever there's Cuban bread, they have the original packaging. And I think that that's what people fall in love with. That it's funny, it has a meaning, and it's something that they can relate to. So ever since then, really, it's been quite the adventure and quite the roller coaster, and I'm really thankful that people have accepted my ideas and my designs as well as they have, because it was a new form of representing your culture without it being tacky, because then people would normally just wear a Cuban flag. Like, that's all there really was, like a shirt with a bandera or Cuba really big, but nothing where you would want to wear on a daily basis and be proud to wear it.
And for you, what were you doing like prior? Had you had any kind of like art design experience? Did you, did you doodle for fun? Like, where do you think this kind of all came about? Because it sounds like there's a lot of creative ideas that just maybe needed to be let out and maybe weren't before.
So growing up, I've always loved art. I've always loved singing. I've always loved kind of like performing on stage during our choir recitals and all that stuff. I've always just been very outgoing, but I'm shy. So I don't know how that works. For starting Martha Miami, I didn't do any art classes. I didn't study design. I didn't do any of those things. I taught myself Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop. I've even taught myself Premiere to edit videos and things like that. These are all sources that you can find on the internet. Thankfully, you don't have to take a course. But I've always enjoyed doodling. There's this little, I called it Life Fit Notes back then. This was when Instagram wasn't even around, it was just Facebook. And I would draw cartoons of myself. And it was supposed to be a 365-day thing. Every day I would draw a little cartoon on a Post-it and I would post it on Facebook. Because I just wanted to share one thing of that day that was meaningful to me. It ended up being so successful among my friends that they would get mad if I didn't include them in my Post-it note, in my little doodle. So, and they enjoyed it.
I love that. It's like the FOMO before there was FOMO,
I still draw her every now and then, around the store, in Post-it notes. I'll leave my friends a Post-it note or whatever. Or in the shower, I'll draw her little face, and I just always enjoyed being creative. I think it's funny. I enjoy laughing. So yes, there was a lot of ideas in here, a lot of creative things, and I wish I could do everything, but I can't. Have to do everything else, right? Manage a business, manage employees. I wish I could just create and design all the time, but I'm an adult.
Yeah. So and there's bills to pay and businesses to manage. So let's talk a little bit about that. Taking it from the bottom, right? Taking it from just that idea, helping that friend out, to making it what it is now, which is this storefront, this online platform. You have thousands upon thousands of followers. How did it grow, and where were those first steps?
The first thing that I did was I reached out to my friends. I told them, this is what I'm doing. It would follow me. I would appreciate it. This is my idea. That was the first step. Then the second step was, I need to print shirts. The first one was the pina colada. I was like, I'm going to print for men and for women. And I started reaching out to bloggers. That sounds cliche, reaching out to bloggers, want to order my things, I'll give it to you for free for a blog post. There were people that turned me down, and that's fine. I wasn't expecting everybody to say yes. But there was one girl, Sally Salado Oliver. Yeah, she really posted beautiful photos of my pina colada shirt, and she understood it, which is what I loved, because I felt I reached out to bloggers, but maybe they didn't say yes because they didn't understand the design. And the people who said yes, I know that they're from Miami, they're part of the Latino Hispanic culture, maybe they're Cuban, so those were my first steps, and I continued to reach out to bloggers. I was super active on Instagram. I think that people were relating to it because it was something new. It was different. It was, Cuban bread wasn't around yet, but la piña colada, it was funny, it was clever. The pineapples, symbol of hospitality, or, Baptist Hospital. It's tropical, it's Miami. I started there, and I would reach out to, Fireman Gooch, who's not a fashion blogger, but he's an influencer. And I reached out to other influencers like that I was like, look, when you make a video, I would love it if you wore my shirt, or just post something in return, for this free shirt. So that was just how I started gaining traction on my social media platforms. And I tried to post funny things and funny memes and just a little bit of everything. I was observing, what are other people doing? What are other brands doing? And I just tried to follow them too. I just didn't give up. A lot of people that I've seen them start their businesses, and I'm like, okay, good, great, they're doing it. But then I think that this comes easy. They think as soon as I upload my website and my first product, it's gonna sell out. And isn't the case. A lot of the times, a lot of my things, my first month online back in October 2015, I think I sold 4 shirts in a month. And the next month, maybe I sold 5. It wasn't, I thought, I'm going to be flooded with orders. My website's going to be flooded with people. How could they not find my stuff amazing? How cool, how clever, it's something new. When I look back at how it came to be, I didn't give up. And a lot of people give up. They lose the interest, because they think, oh, nobody cares, like it's not interesting enough, it's not new enough, you know, or funny enough. But I didn't give up, and I persisted, and things got slow. Like it was a roller coaster. Things would Christmas for me, like in the first one was great, and then January, February came around, and if you're into business, you know that January is the slowest month of the year for retail, you know, because everybody spends their money for December. And so there was a lot of learning. I mean, from my background working with my parents of a son, I know these things. I knew what to expect from having a business and running a store, even though I was doing it online, something that we've never done. So I was also learning online sales, commerce, and taxes, and this and that, and shipping things out. It was such a learning experience, you know?
And to be able to, as you said, you know, I think that is a make it or break it, right? The giving up or not, because you see a lot of people have great ideas, but it's just a matter of whether or not they come to fruition. What was kind of like, and it sounds like from what you've been saying, you did have a lot of support, which is always like the best thing to make that first step. But what the advice that you needed kind of, or that self-talk in order to take that jump and to take that first step?
I did have a good support system. My sisters, my mom, my dad, even my printer. The first person to see my design was my shirt printer, and his email back to me was, "I love it." And there I was like, okay, I'm onto something, you know. And everybody that I would show the design to, kind of, you know, timid, like a little, what are they gonna say? Are they gonna think I'm ridiculous? I'm gonna start a business. I did have, you know, the few friends that they care, so they're gonna say, you know, are you sure this is something you want to do? Even when I opened the store, they're like, are you sure? Because opening up brick and mortar, that's a lot. I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't ready for the brick and mortar, but the other things that I did online, it felt safe. I'm like, you know, I don't have to have an inventory, you know, brick and mortar. I don't have to have employees. I don't have to have any of those things yet. I would have friends help me if I needed help to fulfill orders, or my friends, if I needed help setting up for a pop-up, like in Wynwood or even in my parents' store, they would give me like a space to set up and sell my things in their store. That love and that wanting to be there and help me, like that really, like I love them so much for believing in me, and that they were there with me during pop-up, setting up, breaking down. It's a lot, and I didn't touch on that before, but I would set up in pop-ups and be there all day, you know, in Wynwood. And sometimes I would sell like crazy, and sometimes I would sell maybe like $20. You know, it just depended on the crowd, who's coming through the day. So there was a lot of sweating, a lot of carrying of a lot of boxes and a lot of merchandise. Oh my God, the back and forth. That's why people are like, oh, I want to do a pop-up. You know, yes, go do it, because I feel like they're going to learn that this is hard work. This is not easy. You know, I mean, I knew doing pop-ups wasn't going to be easy, but one thing is thinking about it, one thing is doing it and actually getting it done. But yeah, if it really wasn't for my support system, I don't know if I would have even done half the things I've done.
You know, I mean, me personally, I was one of those people that, like, one Christmas, all my Christmas gifts were Martha of Miami, you know, and because it's cute and it's clever and it's catchy, and if you're from Miami, you get it, you know.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, when they have that great idea, like we all do, it's that almost like fight or flight response. I almost want to say that it's like, but is it good enough? Or is it funny enough? Or like, am I the only one that thinks it's great? You know? And even that, you know, because I know you even have some comedy in your background, and we'll kind of touch upon that a little later. But, you know, you kind of taking that step on being like, I'm not crazy, or who cares if I'm crazy? What was that like for you about other people's response to your product?
Well, I mean, till this day, I still think like, oh, should I? Is it funny enough? And, you know, there's certain things that I find funny, but then at the end of the day, I just tell myself, if I find it funny, I'm gonna do it. It's my business. If they like it, like it. If they don't, they don't. There's a ton of things here that people come in here and they're like, oh, I don't like this, or oh, this shirt's so funny, or I don't know, I'm not Cuban enough, or nobody is gonna be super with everything that they find in the store. But it makes me laugh. Like, you know, there's the design that I bring back that I love, that I did for Valentine's Day, that some people are offended by it, but some people laugh, and I love it. and I don't care. And it's the mug that says, I need you, like the ñ en año, because without the ñ en año, it's ano. And ano means butthole. So, you know, I remember laughing so hard, and I'm like, you know what, I don't care who I offend with this. This is so funny, and it's so true. Like, if you mess up the ñ, you know? So things like that. And some people laugh at everything. Some people are offended by some things, you know, like the AF, meaning as fuck. Like when abuelitas ask me, you know, I'm like, oh my God, I have to tell this viejita that it's as fuck. Am I gonna tell her this, you know? But then, ay, o algunos, bueno, no, eso no, yo pensaba que era after Fidel or you know, like al fin, or I don't know. Some of the things that we get, some of the things that we hear, it's just, I don't understand my thought process either. But you know, there's a lot of things that I want to do and that I don't do because I'm like, oh, I might offend some people. But at the end of the day, I want to put things out there that they're gonna enjoy, you know, and wear proudly.
Yeah, they're gonna want to relate to and wear proudly for sure. And what has that been like for you too, to see people actually, like, have you had that, like, you're out and about on the street and you see somebody wearing your shirt or you see somebody wearing your hat? Like, have you seen that, and what has that been like for you?
So I in Miami. It happens, you know, obviously, clearly, like, I'm in Miami, I'm bound to run into it. But like the one that the time that's really meant the most to me was this past weekend when I went to Washington DC for the Cuban protest march. There was people wearing Cuban bread and the Cuban roots shirt, and with my flags and with my hats, and that's what made me realize that what I'm doing is way more than just shirts. It's not just a business. Like, this is for our people, for our heritage, for, you know, anybody who wants to start a business. Like, look, I'm making an impact whether I realized it or not. And I love seeing that people want to wear my things. Like, I ran into a girl walking out of a pizza shop and she was wearing the Cuban bread with the Cuban bread hat, and she has freaked out. She was like, oh, Martha, oh my God. She's like, Mom, it's Martha. Oh my God. She's like, well, I didn't think I was going to run into you. And she's from New York. So the fact that we ran into each other at the shop before the march, she was so happy. And I was happy. Like, I ended up giving her a free flag. I took a book bag with flags to give out in Washington. Like, and I went and I gave her a Cuban bread. She was so happy. She was so excited. And, you know, like, I love that. I don't do this for that, but I love that. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like those late nights, tears, those frustrations. There's people that I've let down, you know, orders get late or orders get lost, and, you know, people get upset, and it comes with the business. It comes with running a business. You're going to have your happy customers, you're going to have your upset customers. And I used to cry at night from like upsetting customers, because there's a whole chain of things to get you your shirt, you know, or to get you your hat, or to get your order. It's just, how do you explain to somebody? Because the manufacturer of the shirt out, and then the printer messed up the printing, so we had to reorder it again. And, you know, there's always those change of things, but just, you know, it makes it worth it. You know, like, I would stay up till 2 a.m. looking at my orders, and like, I don't even have the volume of orders. Like, I have so many more orders now and customers now than I did back then, but I was a one-woman show. I was answering my emails, I was ordering my blanks. The only thing I wasn't doing was printing the products. I was designing, answering emails, marketing, social media. It's worth it. I love seeing people wear my stuff. And then, like, one time I ran into somebody wearing like a hat in Orlando, in Tampa or whatever, and it feels really good to know that people love wearing my stuff, and I love seeing it. I love running into it. Like, it doesn't get old. It's like I'll see somebody and I'll smirk and I'll look to see if they know me. You know, I'm like, do they know that I'm the one that printed that, you know? But I don't know, sometimes I don't think they do. Sometimes I'm like, at one time I was like, oh my God, I love your shirt, and the girl's like, thanks, and I was like, okay.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah. That's embarrassing as fuck.
I feel like, I don't know, I feel like when me and my sister were like hella fans of yours when it first, I mean, we still are, but like when it first kicked off, we like wanted everything in the store. And I feel like I associated the shop with you? Like, and maybe it's because I don't know if I followed you first or the shop first. Like, I don't know what order it came in.
The page was first. The shop page was the first thing that started, and then later on, I was like, I don't want a shop page personal stuff. Like, I want to have like a brand, and then me, because I'm not like, I just, if I want to post something that doesn't have to do with the brand, I don't want people to be like, oh, but I thought I was following the page for clothes, and now you're posting things. I don't know, like
it's a tricky line to toddle. And for you, like, especially starting at the beginning, that it was all you, right? Like this female-run business, all done by you. What was that kind of like at those beginning stages? And for people other women that are listening to this that kind of want to follow in your footsteps.
It was stressful. So when I was doing my research for my business, and I wanted to find, like what website or how to put my business out there. I didn't want Etsy because Etsy I felt was too complicated. So I used Shopify because everything is under the same platform, the same, you shipping labels, you upload your products. Shopify now integrates with Instagram, and back then it didn't. The Shopify has changing their platform to really help out with social media and like connect your business with your Instagram and get your product out there easily. And I did a lot of research on what I would use, and I stuck with Shopify, and I've stuck with Shopify. It is like, I love it. And like that was an easy thing, but it did take some time to find Shopify. And then just doing my research, business, a corporation. I remember reaching out to the accountant, and what do I do? Am I an S corp? Am I an LLC? And like, there's so many things, so many corporations that you don't know about that until you start diving into it. It's just getting like a little bit of things, making up my little setup at home and stuff. It's low cost. Maybe $1,000 is way high of a cost for somebody. I'm just throwing a number out there. That startup was just a lot of researching and reading, and like, okay, how do I ship things out? Do I have to weigh everything? What if something gets lost in the mail? Am I liable? And there's a lot of things that get lost in the mail. And US, the postal service, it's kind of just like, oh, well, that's not our problem, which I'm kind of like upset about, because I sent it to you. I gave it to you. Like, you should be liable, not me, So there was a lot of headaches there. But it was just, and then, oh my God, the Instagram post, and figuring out what was I going to post on social media. What can I do to kind of make an Instagram page worthy of people following and sharing with their friends. So it was a lot of research on that, and what am I going to post? I'm going to post funny memes. People love to laugh. People enjoy those things like that. But
and I feel like it's funny that you say that, because for me, I feel like when I go upon the Instagram page, like, I think it's totally relatable. I think it's like super catchy, but I do, I've talked to a lot of people on this podcast about either people who are influencers or like, their livelihood is based off of social media and what they post. And it is stressful to come up with what to post, to come up with the creative ideas, What has that been like too? Because when you started your business, probably it was kind of like those beginning stages, and now Instagram has really blown up into what it is today. What has that been like, keeping up with it?
Well, now I have a marketing team. So they really help with what to post and what content to post. And I'm so thankful for that, because it was so stressful to have to come up with things, and just, sometimes I'm like, I have a funny idea, I'll write it down, but I haven't done that in a long time. And I feel like now, if you look at the page right now, there's not a lot of funny memes or anything, because we've been sharing a lot of SOS Cuba and people's stories and their history, and bring awareness right now, what's the cause. And you might not find any stuff right now, but I try to create videos. I feel like people relate more to videos. Like you said, Instagram evolved and changed. People no longer just want to see a static post. They want to see me. They want to see videos of me. And sometimes that's weird. But my marketing team's like, people follow you. It's your name. It's Martha Miami. You need to be a little more present. I used to be a lot more present, but there's also times where I'm like, I need a break, and I feel like me putting myself out there, I don't know, sometimes I get scared. I'm like, oh my God, the video of me, like, is my cara papa showing? Like, do I sound stupid? Sometimes social media is so harsh, you know? And so sometimes I'm in that fear of, oh, but if I video, or if I say this thing, who's gonna fight me on it, or who's gonna have something to say negatively, we've had those, I've had those types of things, and I just delete it. I just delete their comments, because I'm like, I know that this person, in a bad place, or is upset, or it's just, just looking for something to say. Not necessarily, they're not really trying to hurt my feelings. They just want attention. They want me to trolls. They want me to say something back to them. So then we spend 5 days fighting over something that doesn't matter.
Even now, so I know, obviously, Martha of Miami is a huge part of who you are, right? Because it's this business that you've created from the bottom up. But you also, there's other elements to you that are outside of your shop. I know you also dabble now in like comedy shows in Miami and things like that. Can you tell me just about what it's been like exploring your other passions and hobbies while still kind of having the successful business and making sure that that ship still runs afloat?
So I didn't really get into the video content until like 2018, when I had an opportunity with another local like Miami influencer to try to start like a BuzzFeed, like a local channel like that. And it wasn't until then that I really felt like I could do this. I could be funny, even though I had some people say that my voice was annoying. Some guy at a restaurant sent the waiter over to tell me to stay in my lane. And that's kind of lit the fire under my ass to be like, you know what? No, fuck you. I'm going to be in every lane that I want to be in. So that was the push, really, that I was like, I'm going to do this video thing. I'm going to be more active. I'm going to create content, and I'm sorry for cursing, but that's felt. I always, like, the business didn't, we ended the business. It wasn't the right time for us to do that. But I stayed with the urge. Like, I was like, I feel like I want to create more things. So after a few time, like a year or two, I kind of stepped that, because then the storefront happened. I was driving by one day and this spot became vacant, and that just took my attention. But it wasn't until recently, last February, that I was like, you know what, I want to start it up again. I think now's the time. I think I'm ready. It was pre-COVID, so I was mentally in another place. I'm like, I can do this. Like, my business, my storefront is running smoothly. I want to do the next thing that I can. So I started Palante Media. And then COVID happened. And I was like, I cannot start a new business now, especially not knowing what's gonna start the state of my actual business, like what my storefront, like I have bills, I have employees, I have things that now I don't know what's gonna happen. We were shut down practically 2 months. So I kind of let that go. And then, when we came back mentally, COVID for me was stressful, as it has been with everybody else. I wasn't mentally thinking about comedy. I wasn't thinking about putting on shows or whatever, but finally, I was talking to my friends. I'm like, I'm gonna bring it up again. Like, I want to do it. Something that interested me. I think things are getting back to normal. So I started doing comedy shows, and I felt like the comedy show was the first towards Palante Media. I don't want it just to be content on social media. I want it to be shows and stand up and or just produce things, and like Palante Media produces the comedy shows. I pay for the lights, I pay for the stage, I pay for the comedians to go. You go to a free show, and you enjoy it, and that's what I enjoy it, and that's why I want to do it, because I get to go to the comedy shows, and I get to laugh, and I get to enjoy it. And I know that it makes me feel good that I'm giving the show to the people, and that they're enjoying it. So that's just one aspect of the Palante Media. And another thing that I would love to produce, like short films, and I've really been into writing. I'm not a writer, but I've really enjoyed it. I I got studiobinder.com or I went to studiobinder.com, and there you can write scripts, and there's so many things in there that I don't even know how to use. But you know, it's those steps towards I'm learning about it, and I kind of feel like it's the same steps that I was taking towards Martha Miami. I didn't know Adobe Illustrator. I didn't know Photoshop. I went learning. I would do this. I would look up YouTube videos, and I'm not saying that anything could just be learned easily just from, you know, YouTube or whatever, but you know, it's that interest that I'm like, I want to keep learning about it. I feel like there's a presence missing on Hollywood from Cubans, and how many actors get casted for Cuban parts that aren't Cuban, or, you know, I mean, it's not necessarily that they all have to be Cuban, but at least a Latino in a sense, you know, not somebody who doesn't fit the part.
And I think that fearless approach is just like, it's probably a big homage to how you've been able to just be so successful in everything, but also, again, not really pay mind to the noise that surrounds every new endeavor, right? And for you, now we're what? This is almost like 7 years with Martha of Miami?
6 years. Will be now in August 14. I think that's when I registered everything, but I didn't really, I celebrated in October 21st, because that was the day of my first sale. Okay. So that for me is my anniversary. But like paperwork, and if you look it up and all that stuff, like preparation's already, like 6 years. Okay.
So to look back on it, you know, like what you've created and how far it's come, did you ever think that it would pick up this much traction, would be this much of a thing to people who live right in your own backyard, and to those really across the US? Yeah. No. I think that be sitting here in my store surrounded by Cuban bread shirts, because do you want to see my front table looks like right now? Sure. Oh my God. Just the table, because there's stuff over there too. I love that. Raised on croquetas. That one's such a cute one too. Croquetas. I have a ton of stuff here, and I never thought that I would be here doing this. You know, I thought that people would see me and recognize me, like, oh my God, you're Martha Miami. It's still weird for me to people to come up to me and be like, oh my God, you're Martha Miami. I'm like, yeah. Or like, I know you. And I'm like, I have to do it. This is awkward. Because I'm like, oh yeah, Miami. And they're like, no, that's not it. And I'm like, oh, great. And I'm like, that's so embarrassing. But I never thought that I would be here. Did I know I could get here? Yes. I know it was possible. But the fact that the business has been successful, and it's not just me, not just because of me, but because of everybody, my customers, my friends. My business wouldn't be here if it wasn't for everybody else. Yes, put in the hard work, and yes, it pays off. But you know, without the support of everybody, I wouldn't be able to be today. Martha, thank you so much for joining me this morning on the Spotlight. I appreciate it. And if you haven't followed it already and you want to be able to find it, I will put Martha of Miami's shop down below. And as always, a new episode of the Spotlight airs every Thursday. Thank you, Martha. Thank you so much.